think. There we go. We are alive. Welcome, everybody. Good to see the side chat early on. I see some of my friends there. We've got Gray Shooter, Brood Daddy, Jessica Simpson, Simp 44. You said Mr. 45 caliber. If I recall, and I'm pretty sure I'm correct, Mr. 45 caliber was a YouTuber many years ago. And if that's the same guy, if you're referring to the same guy, be sure to let me in. We have Andy. Andy, check this out. This is from the Spanish channel. J Mock, Midwest Picker. We got Andy, Pistol Grip. TAB Videos is in the house, everybody. You guys need to subscribe to TAB Videos. Good friend of mine. Underground, Hustic. Anyhow, this is from the Spanish channel. I reached it. Now, just to give a little comparison, this is one that I got on the TFG channel. There's a little mirror. See me holding it up? Okay, that's that. And then this is the Spanish channel. I ordered a smaller one. You could choose your size. I ordered a smaller one for the Spanish channel, but that's what you get. And it actually feels kind of cheap compared to this one. That was about 5 years ago. This one is like really, really cheap. I don't know. I don't know if they made it with a garbage material. Probably, like everybody else, are trying to save prices or save on costs. But it is good to see everybody. Nice group in the chat. Marco Polo, Garage Guy, a lot of my friends. Key Largo Joe, Ram is here. Ram checks out the Fin Feather Fur Outfitters page. Michael Fabian, how goes it? It goes great. I'm live with the people and some people I care about deeply. John Band is in the house. Okay. So I titled this, Why You Beefing? All right. Now, weird title. Beefing is why you arguing. There are certain things that really upset gun owners, and that is nothing new. It's been happening for years. But I want to talk about it because the one thing I guess I have a beef with this. So the first thing I have a beef with, and that is when a new handgun is released. I would say 50. Boy, am I losing a connection already? I'm down. If I'm freezing up, just let me know. Okay, so we're talking about Chris asked about the car. I'm going to get to some of the comments in a bit, but I want to talk about this. When a new handgun is released, we have to understand that the amount of engineering, the amount of new part orders, the amount of marketing, and this is before even the engineering, the concept, to come up with a concept. We're talking about not a add-on to something that already exists, but a brand new gun. The concept, and then all those other things, engineer it, the testing, all this takes years. And these manufacturers do that. They put forth the expense, they put forth all the effort and the secrecy behind it. And then once it's finally launched, the greatest question that comes about is, why is that so much money? It's a fair question. But what I also hear so often is people say, if that was $300 less, it'd sell like crazy. Well, we started out by saying that there's a concept that leads to engineering to see if this thing's even doable. A lot of failures and steps back, and then all of a sudden they go forth and make this thing happen. And then the biggest complaint is, why is it so much money? Well, they have to recapture some of the investment that went into that gun, a lot of it. And then over time, when they start the whole process over with something else that they're trying to develop, they could drop the price on that one. Or what they'll do is what a lot of companies do. They'll come up with a comp. Okay, we're going to make the exact same thing, but we're going to put a comp on it. Now you could drop the price of the other one and go with the comp. And so when I hear that, we have to understand, for those who have a sound business mind, and I can tell you, I have run a business. My wife and I have run a business for over 25 years as well. Well, 2 or 3 in between time, but one specifically over 25 years. And there are so many expenses to running a business. Furthermore, if we're going to say I only support US made firearm manufacturers, that means everything from Germany, everything from Turkey, everything from Brazil and Argentina, for the Bursa lovers out there. Everything that is not US made, I'm out. Okay. And then US made companies like Ruger and Smith and Wesson and Car Arms and others, they come out with their products, and yeah, it's going to be a little more if it's US made. And so you get this new product that's US made, and you say, "Oh, that's right up my alley. It's US made." And then the comment back is, "I could get a Canic for less than that." Well, pick your poison. What's it going to be? And so that's a beef that I kind of have, because I think that a lot of people, they say, "Well, this is what I want. I want it like this." And then when it delivers like that, you say that's way too much money. Everybody is trying to save money. Everybody. Can you believe how bad the economy got in 4 years? Horrible. And our energy prices and fuel and inflation, and like across the board, and many of those prices will never go down. And so when we talk about guns, don't expect the price to go down. The materials alone cost a fortune. Labor costs a fortune. You want US companies? So do I. Are you aware in the US, every dollar you pay an employee, you have to pay the federal government that same amount? That's why Turkish guns aren't as much. You look at some of the Turkish shotguns, they're making copies, and they're doing very, very well with copies of American guns. Not even American, even Italian. You look at some of the Beretta and Benelli shotguns, like those are really nice firearms, but you're getting copies at half the price. And we say, "Well, I want to go in, I want to go all in American." And I'm with you. I'll back you on that 100%. But doing that means all in on the American prices. And that is something that we have to come to terms with, especially. I went blank again. I don't know. I may have to change my location. So far, TSUS makes some good 1911s. Garage Guy says, yes, they do. Yes, they do. Never Obeys in the house. Did I see Harley Ryder? Harley Ryder and TAB's in the house. My goodness, we're loaded with talent. A talent overboard in here right now. Love to see it. Welcome everybody. And so I'm going to check the chat here and call out some people, but I also want you to know, what's your beef? What's your beef? What's your beef with me? What's your beef with other gun owners? What's your beef with a certain manufacturer? I think that would be cool to see. I'm still leery. Savage Lee says, I'm still weary of Turkish guns. Yeah, I understand that. They make some nice ones, though. I'll tell you that. They make some nice ones. Never Obey said Trump 2024. I'm in. Already voted. All set there. 10 millimeter. 10 millimeter seemed to be the flavor of the year. Then it seemed to back off a little bit, and it seems like it never quite jumped back on. It was a big deal for a while. Perhaps it still is. That may just be me. Beef with anybody else who votes for You know, it was really weird talking about Kamala. I don't want to get into politics too much. We've all been so inundated with it. But earlier today, I told my wife I'm having a little mental breakdown. Just the mere thought of Kamala becoming the president of the United States. I think Trump is going to win, but I don't trust the process. And you say, well, are you an election denier? Yeah, yeah, I deny some of the things going on. Michigan Woods, good to see you. Elgadas, I think I said that right. Marco Polo, Mike Rayner, Clover Tack. Hey, good to see you, Clover. Hey, thanks for that super chat too. Clover, we didn't chat this year. Oh, yes, we did. We did chat a little bit at TriggerCon while waiting to go on the range day. TriggerCon was a blast, everybody. They really are working hard to build that show to make it something that is, I would say, comparable to NRA, and they're on their way. And Wichita, Kansas is beautiful. Michael Fabian is losing Paul Harrell. I agree. While never getting to train and meet him. Yeah, Paul Harrell is just amazing. Not only is his experience great, but his communication and his delivery was so smooth, and his camera and editing, like it was the whole package. Like if they took his stuff and put it on a TV channel, it would flourish, and it was so good. I'm just hoping that the his brother can keep it going and uh surviving that. History has taught us that that's hard to do. That is very hard to do, and many times they they typically don't do well because the person is the channel. Okay, I mentioned Riders Range. I mentioned TAB videos. Those guys are the channel. To just sell the channel, which I hear about, but I've never actually experienced it or know anybody that did that. But if those guys sell the channel, somebody can't just come in and fill those shoes. They may be more educated on certain firearms. They may have a lot to offer, but that person is the face of the channel. So for somebody just to come swooping in and say, "Oh, everything that was established, I'm just going to take over from here," it typically doesn't work. And so I'm hoping Paul Harrell's brother can do that, but I'm not sure if it will happen. And I know it won't, at least to the degree that Paul was able to accomplish, because he was amazing. Another thing I want to talk about, getting back to what's your beef, I will tell you, when you're a video creator and you do a comparison, and let's say you have a Glock and a Ruger, and there are Ruger fans over here, but in the end you choose a Glock. People get so upset if you don't choose the gun they own. It's amazing. People will get so mad. I can't believe you didn't take anything into consideration. This is the best gun ever, and how can you not know that? How can you not know that I own this gun? Therefore, it is the greatest one ever. You did not know that, and because I own it, most certainly it is. And it's all because they want you to be open minded, but they themselves are not open minded. Okay. So it's easy to say, hey, the problem is with you. Meanwhile, they model the same issue, but even worse. Huh? Are we all guilty of that to a degree? We've got Smash Time in the house. The guy's a hero of mine. Walter Miner, the original OSOK. What's up? What's up has an amazing skill, this guy. He he is the first one to comment on every video, and I think he loves it. He loves it. Ed Zachary's in. He says, "Dump it." Not sure what that means. Oh boy, these are moving fast. Okay. Old man Greywolf, good to see you, sir. He always has some good things to say. You know, it's funny because there's a difference between a live chat and seeing live comments in real time versus a video. Like I put a video out about an hour and a half ago. That video has now that one right now is performing way above my average. So I don't know, maybe it was the title, maybe it was some whatever the case, but it's performing way better than average. I there is no way I could respond to all those comments. And that was the one thing that I always prided myself on was responding to the comments. HK45 shooter is in the house, a Michigan man, a good man. I remember him for years back. We even hung out a few times, and it is good to see you, sir. Thanks for popping in here. The honor is mine. And look at these guys. That was an ugly Glock garage. That's what it was. It was an ugly Glock. I tell you, in the year 2025, Chuckles. Oh man, we have a full house here of awesome people. Randy Chavez. All right, good to see you. Smash time. Smash time said, hit that like button. I appreciate that, sir. And he hit me with a super chat. Wow, ammo fund going up. One of the things that I think people, thank you, Smash Time, by the way. That guy, he's a hero of mine. He's a smooth rider. He's got a nice smooth delivery. He's got a video coming up on a Keltec. I highly suggest you guys watch that. I think he's going to blow the lid off of some of the misperceptions and shine some light on some of the good things going on with Keltec. And I will tell you, if you give them a chance, you will find some good things. Just look at that P17. That P17 is a rock and roller. That thing can get up and go. I mean, you just jump on that 22 horse and fire away with 16 round mags plus one, which is why it's got like that thing for $200 with three 16 round mags in a plastic gun. So light. It is such a nice little handgun for cheap. Smash Time said, what is the best carbine for the money? High Point. Hmm? High Point makes a great carbine for the money. I had a High Point 10 millimeter carbine. I loved it, and I sold it to my buddy because he really wanted it. And then I said, why did I do that? Why did I do that? Mr. Trump is now more pro 2A. I think he was pro 2A before. It's just that I think when he said that about take the guns before they commit a crime, I think he was playing to some of those liberal politicians. That's what I think. He's good at that. But what was I talking about? I was talking about slamming guns. I lost my train of thought. Another thing, here's a beef I have. When we talk about certain guns, there are people that immediately go right to the CCW. I could feature a Desert Eagle and someone would say, why do I want that? I would never carry that. That's stupid. Who would carry that? Not every gun's a carry gun. You may have a gun, you may have two guns. You could be like Rider's Range that has 202 guns that you would carry. Most people have two or three guns that they may rotate, they may use a secondary, they may have a winter and a summer carry, they may have one specific for pocket carry when the clothes determine that that's the only way to successfully do that. So when we think that every gun is a carry gun, it's not. It's not. Just talk to a competitor who has a 5-inch barrel all steel handgun that they paid an incredible amount of money for and say, well, why would I carry that? Nobody's telling you to carry it. But for some people, that is where it starts and that is where it ends. One, it has to be a gun that they own or it's a piece of crap. Two, they have to be able to carry it for it to be worthy of consideration of purchase. Steve I know I say that wrong every time, but that's a long time follower of TFG. Thank you, sir. Good to see everybody in here. I recognize so many people. It's great to see everybody. Any interest out there in 2011s? What's your thoughts on 2011s? Is it something that's going to go away? Because so far it hasn't. And the one thing that 2011 does, which used to be a staccato thing or an STI and staccato, ultimately the same company. I don't know if they sold or the owners switched over and somebody got some jing for it, but they started with the 2011, and now a lot of companies are doing 2011s, and it goes against a lot of the 1911 purist philosophy. First off, most 2011s are in 9 millimeter. Well, a 1911 is a 45. Period. There is no debate about that. 1911 is in 45. If we're sticking with the purist mindset, the traditionalist, the John Browning design, it's in 45 ACP. The 2011 is in 9 millimeter. Secondly, it's a double stack. We're talking versus the purist here. It is, well, it has optics. To have a 2011 without optics doesn't quite do what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to be a fast, low recoil, zero muzzle flip, perfectly sighted in optic, very light trigger. Now, the trigger is the one thing we can agree on that is similar, although a mil spec trigger is not skeletonized. Okay, the hammer is spurred, not skeletonized, but the 2011 is an upgraded model, G10 grips, everything that the mil spec 1911 doesn't have. But it is so smooth to shoot. And that is why when you could take, and when someone says, I can shoot my Glock just as well as I can that 2011, you name the brand, I don't even care which one. That sort of tells me they never shot a 2011, because if they did, it I don't want to make up my mind and say that's exactly the way you think or the way you shoot, but it's very hard to compare an all steel frame 1911 double stack 9 millimeter with that smooth 2.5, 3 pound trigger versus a Glock 17 that's plastic. I just can't see it being in the same category in terms of smoothness, in terms of transition, in terms of accuracy, and all the reasons why 1911s are still around today after so many years. But the 2011s, I think, are here to stay. We're seeing more and more manufacturers come up with their versions of them, and they are really something. Garage Guy says Ruger has a new 10 millimeter carbine out now. That's good to know. Actually, I did know that, but that is good that they're doing that. Ruger has a heck of a dynamic team of engineers. They really do. Nothing wrong with being a gun collector. I agree with that, Marco. Nothing at all wrong with that. It's actually an incredible investment. If you think about society without rule of law, okay, now preppers they'll have meals, MREs, they'll have water, they'll have things like nuts and oats and things like that to survive. They'll have all that. But what would you barter? What would you barter? Well, a good thing to have is a prepper that could barter. You're set up with your medications, you're set up with your ammo supply, adequate firearms, you have all this stuff. But what would you barter? What happens if your kid runs out of medication and your neighbor has it, and they don't really need it, but they want to get something from you? What would be something that would be worth trading? alcohol, alcohol, tobacco. You think about ammo. If you've got 20,000 rounds of ammo and somebody needs 200 rounds, and yet they have something you need, that would be good. These are good things to hold on to. They should never lose their value ever. And we think about that, and some people laugh about that, but in the Midwest, we had a blackout, and when was it? Like 2004, something like that. 2005. There was a blackout where there was no electric, there was no utilities. All the gas stations ran dry, and people around the Detroit area thought it was a terrorist attack. It was kind of crazy. Maybe it was a little bit after those years. Anyways, so that's some of the points I wanted to make on the beefing thing, especially the gun prices. We have to understand that, and somebody said something. This guy many years ago, he said he was working at a gun store. He said, you would not believe how many deposits I keep from people that put a gun on layaway and they never go back to get it. And they want to put like $20 down a week. And he said, no, if you're going to put money down, you have whatever the time is, 2-3 months. You can put down an adequate amount, but after that time, you're going to have 10 days to pay the rest and pick it up, or the contract's over and you lose your money. He said so many people walk away. They can make 2 or 3 payments equaling $350. They owe 300 more, and they just walk away, give up all that money. And he told me people don't want to pay for their guns. That's why it's easier to trade a gun. It's easier to trade a gun, but you have to be careful there because people will, well, what they do, a common strategy is they'll rate their gun as the highest value, rate your gun as the lowest value, and say we're pretty well even when you know dang well your gun is more valuable than theirs. Just a little hint for those who are thinking about trading. Whoa, what do we got? What do we have going on here? I'm losing a lot of these chats. My chat isn't updating. Wow, here's some people I haven't seen. Fred Bender's here. All right, Tom's here. Good to see you guys. No way, no layaway is worth it. Save up. Well, if there's one left, Marco, if there's one left and you could hold it for $150 and get on that layaway program, at least you'll have it under your name for a specified period of time. Transferable MGs are the highest valuable guns. Well, that's true. Nobody thought a grease gun made of sheet metal would be worth well over 10 grand. Nobody thought a Tommy gun that was very common. It's sort of like the same concept with the Colt Python. Many people owned the Colt Python. They never thought that it would raise in value as much as it did upon its discontinuation in the early 2000s. If you recall, the Colt Python was produced for years and years and years, all the way up to the year 2000. Then 2001, 2, and 3, it was by order only, and after that, Colt said we're done with it. At least the way they were doing things at that time, because it was very labor intensive. Machine guns are the same way. Nobody knew that the NFA would be put into place and they would be so highly regulated. So at the time, it would be similar to 2 people trading shotguns today, or selling one, because they were widely available. But the Tommy gun is very different than what Auto Ordnance sells, because Auto Ordnance sells a carbine. I have one. Okay. It's an original Tommy gun. Okay. It's an original because the company is original. But the true Tommy gun is full auto and much shorter. So it's not a carbine. It has like a 12 or 13 or 14-inch barrel. That's it. Okay. I can't remember the specifics right now, but that is the difference. Let's see. The JH man, longtime follower. Good to see you, sir. I've done layaway before just to hold it. Yeah, for sure. For used guns that are out of production. Yes. Like the CZ Rammy. Okay. So many people say I've always wanted a CZ Rammy. They never get a chance to get it. There's one there. You know, if you walk out that door, it ain't going to be there when you come back. And so that would be a good one to try to get your hands on. I agree with you, JH, man. Don't forget to hit the like button, guys. Yes, sir. 04 Hemi, hit that like button. Get this thing going here. South Dakota checking in. Good to see you, Bob. If that's the Bob I think it is, longtime follower, a lot of support. Alexander Healing. Okay, what's he say? There's a lot of overpriced stuff. Look at the tactical screwdriver made out of stamped metal. They're asking 300 for it. There is, but if you were not on earlier, I said it's pretty hard to say I want American only. I'm only going to buy American. With that comes American labor costs, American parts costs, American additional government costs that these companies have to incur. So there's a lot to that. Mike Paulson, I would use layaway back in the day. Family bought a Smith & Wesson 5906. Few shotguns, no layaway. Yeah. I mean, it goes with anything else. You know, I never want to have a car payment, but I may have to have that car payment in the initial stages of owning that car until I could save up the money or give myself an opportunity to sell off some other things. But you know as well as I do that if you need that vehicle, you don't have much of a choice now. Now, do you? We all have to get to work. Google's Paisano, God, Family, and Guns, Trump 2024. Man, I hope so. I cannot imagine a world with Kamala. It's just so scary. Michael Harper, welcome to the chat, sir. Good to see you. All right. Well, speaking of guns, that's all I've been speaking about. Oh, by the way, for those that don't know, about 3 months, maybe 4, probably in August, we moved out of Michigan to Northwest Ohio, and both are phenomenal states. I was born and raised in Michigan, spent a lot of time in Ohio. I actually went to Kent State as a Michigan resident. I went to Kent State in Kent, Ohio. Sort of wedged between Akron and Cleveland. Enjoyed it there. Have family in Ohio, so I've always had this connection to Ohio. But did move to Northwest Ohio. Nice community, happy here. The difference in gun laws and the way they do things is like night and day. And I really feel like it's a more free state. And if we look at the gun laws, it's clear that it is more free state. It was very easy to get a concealed handgun permit. I didn't need it in Ohio, but my friend Riders Range, who is former law enforcement, told me if you want to carry in Michigan, you better have that Ohio CCW permit because your Michigan one is void as soon as you get a driver's license. So I did that. They said it's a renewal. It's just a renewal. It's you don't even have like there's a little application you apply and they say, yep, it's a renewal. I had to come up with some paperwork, but it wasn't hard. I didn't have to go through the class again. Mr. Freightliner's here. I get to get with you on live. Greetings. Hey, welcome. Oh, it's so good to see you. Randy Chavez. Yeah. Wow. The chat is moving and I'm digging it. Tim Lewis here. Southern Ohio resident. Southern Ohio would be great. Very short, much shorter winters there. You're way too far north. Yeah, well, that's what I was just talking about. Well, I do have a lot of connections in Michigan that I have to. I not only have to, but I really want to keep those connections. Very important. Very important. I didn't want to just abandon Michigan altogether. I just didn't want to live there anymore. I didn't want to be tied to their liberal ways of doing things. It's gotten bad. It's gotten really bad. HK 45 sure my wife it's cold on it. Mine was initially, but then she warmed up to it. Now she loves it here. Just loves it. Iran horsemen's in the house. If Kamala wins, guns will be required. Yeah, no argument there. No argument. Wolverines or Buckeyes? I'm gonna say Wolverines for now. We'll see if that changes. I don't think so. Let's see. When purchasing a gun, Ram. When purchasing a gun in Michigan, they have handgun permits, and then they started doing that with long guns too. I don't think they're regulating the long guns as much, although they try to scare you with all the fear tactics of if you don't do this, you're gonna, 6 months in prison. Well, that's stretching it a little bit, but you get the point. But they're just you got three women ruining the state. They're running the state. Okay, you're talking about Whitmer, governor, uh, attorney general, Dana Nessel, total jerk. And then Jocelyn Benson, I don't even remember her title. She's the one that runs the elections and everything. Total jerk. These three women did everything they could to ruin the state. And there are Michigan is one of the top 10 states losing residents, right behind New York, California, Illinois, some of these other liberal havens. New Jersey's another one. And they say, well, we're losing residents because people are moving to warmer weather in the South. Well, that's not new. That's been happening for years and years. You're losing residents because the ones moving south, nobody's coming back in to fill that void. That's why. And people are sick of being told what to do, how to live. All you had to do is look back at COVID, the way everything was locked down for months, way past everybody else. And they say, well, we're saving your life. I hate, they say the same thing with guns. We're going to do this and it's best for you. We're saving you. You're saving nobody. Oh, okay. RBT's in the house. That's a smart man right there. RBT. Uh Freed. Oh, there you go. Freedman's Journal. I don't have good eyes, fellas. So if you see me squinting, screwing up these names, that's why. I could put on my readers here and actually see what's going on. I'm kind of addicted to these readers. Oh, there's a whole world out there of clarity. I just watched a special on PA and almost 100,000. They're turning out massive number. That's huge. I love Amish people. I tell you what, Amish people are the hardest workers. They are, and they have such dignity. And you want to talk about people that don't want to be told what to do. Half these people don't even have social security numbers. They don't believe in paying taxes, and they don't believe in insurance. They, they don't care about what laws are created. They're not going to follow them anyways, and they're not law breakers. They just don't believe in somebody telling them how to live their lives, and they're really community based. And so if somebody has a problem, the whole community comes together to fix it. And they will do labor, they will do everything. And then let's see, we got Narvel Kelly. I'm in New Jersey and we suck. Yeah, so many people say that. So many people. Thomas is in the house. What's up? What's up, firearm guy? What's up, Thomas? Yes, sir. And then what the heck is that one? An O with a line on top of it? They don't even have their IDs. No, they don't. And if you ask them for their ID, they may look at you. But I'll tell you what, people think because they're good with technology that they're smarter. If the whole grid went down and we lost all of our energy, who do you think would be smarter, us or the Amish? They've been living off the land. They've been commuting with horse and buggy. They've been doing without a phone and cable TV and the internet. They don't feel the need to get those things. We do. And it's become so entrenched into our lifestyle that we would have trouble living without it. So the Amish are the ones, they're the true survivors. We would be running around, especially those that don't prep anything at all. Paul Francis is in there. I'm going to vote Tuesday. Work OT, not watch anything for a couple months. I can't watch. Yeah, well, you know what, Paul? I hope we have many safeguards in place to prevent that. Paul said he can't watch any stealing. I know for fact, I know people that were there said that they boarded up those windows in Michigan. They locked the doors. They totally lied and said that we're closing up. We'll start counting again in the morning. And then they didn't board up, but they put paper over the window so you couldn't see what's going on. And in came the carts filled with ballots. And so when I hear, well, you need proof, well, why? First of all, why are the election officials? Why are they lying like that and saying they're going to start again in the morning? And they gave a time, like 7 o'clock. We're going to start 7 a.m. And then at 4 a.m. they start dumping these things in there, no oversight. And then they say, "Well, I can't believe you're an election denier." What did you do to make me election denier? Ah, all right, all right. I said I wasn't going to talk politics. Oh, I want to talk about something. So I have for years avoided shadow systems. I always thought shadow systems were overhyped. Glock clones that they're kind of cool. They're like I've always known they're kind of cool. And I've heard people I know and trust say these are amazing shadow systems. And I'm like, okay, I'm warming up to it. I grip it. I'm like, kind of feels like a Glock to me. I look at it, say, kind of looks like a Glock. You know, if it looks and walks and talks like a duck, it's a duck. But it just kept coming to me, shadow system, shadow system, shadow. I never did it, never even mentioned it on video. And I was thinking, I really kind of want to check it out for myself. And that's going to happen very soon. I'm going to be checking out a shadow systems. The one that I am getting is the XR 920p. And the XR 920p is a Glock 17 size with a removable comp in it. The comps are going crazy in the gun world right now. Everybody is coming up with their version of a comp, and I think the ports have been going on a while, but the comp's different. Okay, a port, you may put 3 ports on each side of the barrel, put a little slide cut in the slide, give some venting, and it reduces recoil. Okay, simple concept. It works. A little bit louder. A comp is a much larger window drilled right into the barrel and a much larger window drilled right into the top of the slide. It does 100% reduce recoil, but it is very loud. And I was always trying to think of outside of the noise, what is the downside? And I had a viewer tell me this was very wise. Never thought about it. Think about this. we're taught in so many classes in a self-defense scenario that you may have to draw from your hip and shoot immediately. You don't have time to point or tell somebody to back up or anything. You may have to just bam. And if you do that, wow, thank you. I'm going to get right with you. I'm going to get right with you. Let me finish this point though. And if you do that, you shoot right here. Now the comp is actually coming right up into my face and it's loud. And now you're not wearing ears and eyes. That could be the only disadvantage that I can think of. Maybe somebody in the chat can come up with another one. First time catching you on a live, man. Love it. Do it more. LFG, TFG. But hey, I thank you. It is now. It is now. $20. Wow. Wow. I want to tell you guys, first of all, thank you very much. It's very much appreciated. Going right back to ammo supply so I could do what I need to do at the range. I sincerely mean that, and the fact that the people that gave is just so humbling to me that they would do that. I certainly appreciate it. But I want to say something also. I never ever do a chat for money, or do like when I get paid for doing YouTube, yeah, I want that money. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I want that money because a lot of work goes into this that people don't see, especially behind the scenes. But when it comes to uh, things like that, it's always nice. It's always nice to know that people care enough to do that. But that is not the motivation behind it. The motivation is to do exactly what we're doing, and that is to have this interaction. Ram says Shadow Systems has self-defense insurance, which is nice. Really? I didn't know they did that. Uh, Boy, some of those you have to watch. You really have to read the fine print with some of those because they're not as great as their salesman tells you. Unable to get the firearm back, they'll replace it. Okay, so that's what you mean. Okay, they have a lifetime warranty. Well, that's something worth considering. That kind of makes me happy very much. Dre Lindsay in the house. Hellcat Comp, South Carolina. Good to see you, sir. Yeah, that Hellcat Pro Comp is awesome. I have that too. Quinn Hall's in the house. This is moving faster than I appreciate you. It is now. I appreciate you. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. But so Shadow Systems, I'm getting the Glock 19 size XR 920p, and that has the comp on it. And so I'm looking forward to that. And one of the things I learned there, because the one thing I didn't want, and a lot of the Glock copy manufacturers, is that they're putting more of a 1911 grip angle instead of that long, elongated grip angle that Glock uses. And the way, unless I'm wrong here, the way they solve that grip angle is with the back straps. So if you want a more vertical grip angle, you can accomplish that through the back strap. I'm not sure. I was thinking that's kind of too simple to change a grip angle like the one Glock uses. But if you could do it with just a back strap, then why isn't Glock doing it with a back strap? It just seems like the most simple concept. I don't know. I'm gonna have to see that one for myself. I have a beef. Oh, good. We have a beef. Let's see. This beef may be directed at me because I saw gun tubers. I have a beef with the idea that gun tubers should not have sponsors or get paid. One of the things that's a good point. Let me give me a minute to talk about that. One of the things that so many people get wrong, and honestly, it's not worth debating or, well, imagine this. Imagine if you're a mechanic, or put it this way, you're a doctor, and I go in and have an illness, and I come to you and you say, I know what it is, I know how to solve it and help you because I've seen it hundreds, if not thousands of times. Okay. And so And I say, well, hang on, Doc. Before you get into that, you need to know that I went on WebMD and I too know how to solve it. And the doctor says, well, I have all these years of experience. Therefore, I'm pretty darn sure I know how to solve it better than you do. And you say, no, but I took a good 15 minutes and went on WebMD and now I know what to do. They don't add up. Experience matters. And the point I'm trying to make here is that there are people who are viewers who think they know how everything works behind the scene with YouTubers, whether they're gun tubers or anybody else. Sponsors are your friend. Sponsors will help keep your personal expenses down. If you want to create content, you have, like, for example, to start a channel, you need to put forth a ton of money. You have to have the proper lighting. Well, check this out, guys. Look at my lighting. I have it on right now just because I think it looks cool, and I don't even know if you can see all that. That even over here, that's just the lighting alone, okay? And it's great lighting. You have to have, I don't want to say first class camera, but a good one that you know how to operate. Then you have to learn how to edit videos. Okay? This is before you even shoot a gun. Now, you have to have, if you just have a couple guns and you want to run a gun channel, you're going to struggle with that because that's not enough to create a lot of content. So eventually you have to build up your collection. All this costs money. The ammo costs money. The range time costs money. The supplies. You say, well, I go to the range and I have a gun. Yeah, you do, but you don't have to buy the camera, the lighting, and worry about all the, and then worry about all the mistakes that go into it. Like, this is really a heavy duty expense, and and it would be so easy compared to a gun channel to be a cooking channel. If you're going to cook anyways, or a barbecue, there's some rich people out there that do barbecue videos. Well, to do a barbecue video, you get to eat the product. Okay. So you're going to come up with something. You say, oh, I just found this recipe. Looks great. You set up your tripod. You go through all the ingredients. You make it. You turn the camera off. You upload it. That's your video. A little more than that, but you get the idea. And then you get to eat it. Okay. So nothing goes to waste. Compared to a gun tuber who has to go through all this ammo before you even review the gun. You have to take many shots with it to make sure you're hitting where you want to hit. You have to treat the gun the right way, so that's only fair. You have to learn yourself. There's a ton that goes into this, a ton. And I don't want anybody to feel bad for me or anybody else, but it is important to at least try to understand. So when you go tell that person everything they did and said is wrong, you may be right. Sometimes I get frustrated listening to people in the same category that I am. Or you spend all this money and get nothing but unusable clips. That's a good point. Sticks said that. Sticks 2018. Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you what. That okay, little X-rated comment there. And they make it look easy. I tell customers all the time that they tell me I make it look easy and that they're paying me for my knowledge. This is Quinn Hall and actually doing the work because they can't or won't be bothered with it. You've got a good point. Think about an auto mechanic. Auto mechanic has a skill that I need because he could do something I can't. And the very thing he needs to fix, I can't do it. And the thing that I can't fix, I need. So I need that person. Guns, a whole lot different. I'm just making the point. So I have to pay for that knowledge and experience. Okay. He didn't just show up and read a book one day and become an auto mechanic. He had to learn the ins and outs and what works and what doesn't. He had to know the tools. He had to know the exhaust system, the engine, the oil, all the internal parts in the dash and all this stuff, how to take off doors and you name it. They have to learn a whole bunch of stuff. You can't do that in a college class. You can't attend a community college class. That may teach you how to change the oil, which would be good, but you cannot replace experience. That's sort of like cops. Everybody thinks they know what it takes to be a cop because at one point or another they were involved with something to do with a cop. They don't know what it's like to be shot at. Perhaps you do if you were in war, but most people weren't in war. They don't know what it's like to be beat up or to have to settle down a group of 5 dudes that can't stand you. You know how scary that would be? That would be crazy. Buzz Salman is in the room. What a great guy he is. Oh man, I have uh, a good relationship with that guy. As with many of you, I will mention. So experience matters. I will tell you, it took me so long to get into my groove with YouTube. I had another channel. And at the time, I had a lot of Glocks, and I focused a lot on Glock. People say I'm a Glock hater. I'm not a Glock hater. I've always had 3, 4, 5 Glocks. I think once I had about 8. I've always had rifles and shotguns, but I shut everything down and started over. And even then, I had to learn how to get into my groove, and that includes the way you talk because you can't be monotone. Imagine watching the news and somebody's talking in monotone. Like these guys on the news are like, "Hey, it's going to be a sunny day today," and then they get off the air and they're like, "Okay, what are you having for lunch?" You know, they're like everybody else. But when they're on air, they have to have an on-air persona. Um, the Kimber Carbon Compact. I'll tell you guys, when I originally shot that gun, I was very much impressed. That that gun changed my attitude quite a bit because prior to that, I have not had a ton of awesome Kimber experiences. Some I had some that they worked really well, but they just weren't my gun. And I've always thought they were a lot of money for a lot of glitz. And in many cases, they are. It's just that. But when I got that Kimber Carbon Compact, I shot the lights out with it. I really did. I shot the lights out with it. And let's see. I will have to check that a little later. And so then as I'm learning the gun after I shot it and everything, I'm like, wow, that is like super nice. And then I'm learning about the frame and the huge undercut, which should be a standard. Like that huge undercut, it's such a nice trigger reach, makes it great. I just like super impressed with it. And so I thought that was super cool. And I will tell you, if you're paying attention to this, you look at companies like Springfield Armory. Like them or not, they come out with a ton of stuff. A ton. Like engineers overdrive. Couple years, not so much recently, but a little bit. Ruger come out with a ton of stuff. Uh, I'll make a prediction right now. Ruger's coming out with a 2011. I have to believe they're in the final phases of it. I have no knowledge of it. I just said it now. Smith and Wesson most likely as well. That's what I think. And I think there's room for everybody. But you look at Diamondback. Diamondback came out with the SDR 357 self defense revolver, SDR. Beautiful. When they first had that, they featured it at NRA show, I think it was NRA, and they said this thing is going to go for about $400. Well, between then and now, it's up well over $700. Same revolver. And there'll be people that learned about it early on saying, hey, what about that $400? Well, look at what they had to incur. Like, you just look at your grocery bill and how much more you're paying now than you did before for the same exact products. And you add metal to that, you add labor to that, you add engineering and marketing to that, and overhead costs above and beyond. It costs a fortune. Let's see, Sticks. Do you have a review of the Bull Armory Tac Pro? No, not the Tac Pro. I got the Tac 4 1/4 and the EDC. They're all very similar. The Pro is comped, or shall I say ported. It's not comped, it's ported. That's the only difference. Unless I'm missing something there. I'm pretty sure I got that right. But oh, Bull Armory. Wow. That axe hatchet, and you think about that and you look at everything it offers, and yeah, I will give you guys this for those out there that complain about price and price is too expensive, and if they only dropped it this much they'd sell a lot more and blah blah blah. I do believe that applies with Glock, and I know Glock's overhead went up just like everybody else's, but when you look at some of the copies and they can produce a better Glock than Glock, like the Bull Armory axe hatchet, like Shadow Systems. Okay, Shadow Systems a bit more, but you're getting more. Like so many others. Why does the Glock MOS cost $650 for those 4 plates? Because once you cut the slide, which is not, it's labor intensive, but it's also machinery doing it on the production side of things. Why is it so much more expensive? And even after that, it comes with plastic sights and a plastic guide rod. They started giving additional mag, but in some cases you have to buy the MOS plates for like $100. All things considered, that's not a bad deal compared to some of the others. Just look at Staccato, $140 for a optic plate. These things cost money, and we want them to profit. We need them to profit if we want them to stick around, if we're fans. And so, any thoughts on the Shield Plus carry comp? Raphael, good to see you. I didn't see you earlier. No, not really. The comps to me are great. I love them. I would shoot that if I had the chance. If I could get my hands on one or a buddy had one, I'd definitely shoot it. If I felt I had what it took to do a review on it, I would do that. I'd have to put some time into it, but I definitely would like to do that. But any thoughts on it? I'm glad that they're coming around to the comp, because I said earlier the comps are the flavor of the day. And actually the last 6, 7 months, maybe even before that, you look at how long it took for people to get at least accustomed to the thought of red dots on pistols. Think about that. I'm one of them. It took me a long time before I said, I think I like this. And then I was ashamed to admit it. I fought this for so long. I was one of those guys, I don't need it. I don't want it. And then I shot my buddies with a red dot on there, and I was like, wow, that's something. Then I started shooting more, and I started learning what it took to do that. It's very hard to go from 3 dots to 1. Seems simple, but it's very hard. But once you catch that bug, then it's like, okay, I want more of that. I want more of that. I want more. It's like working out. You get into it. It's like I have to keep going to see these results. And then next thing you know, ting, 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 you say, I don't think I ever did it that quick and that efficient with iron sights. There has to be something to this. Well, we're starting to see the same thing with comps. People are fighting it. People are saying they don't need it. They don't want it. And yet it keeps the muzzle lower and it's easier to transition. And so all these comps, yeah, it's loud, but if it's going to be a range gun and you have your ear pro on, you're good with that. It's just something that I think is going to be around for a while. Is it necessary? No. Does it make it easier to shoot? Yes. In the same fashion red dots or reflex optics do on handguns. And that has become so mainstream. I think comps will too. I think it'll be very common to have your M&P 9, your M&P 9 comp, your Ruger American 9, Ruger American 9 comp. And then it'll get to a point they'll charge you 50 to 70 bucks more. And if you love comps, you'll pay for it. If you don't, you won't. Smash Time said comps are 100% worth it. Yeah, I know he's a huge comp fan, and he's also a huge 2011 fan. And so when you shoot better, if there's something that can help you shoot better, more something that comes with you out of the case. That's something you have to go train for and put your time in. You take the skills that you currently have and you utilize that and you shoot better with it. Red dot on pistols, a comp, perhaps a steel frame, perhaps a longer barrel, all those things combined, and you shoot better, you become addicted very quickly. That part I will tell you. I mean, imagine going to a buffet every day. Someone said, I'm gonna here's 30 bucks. Go to the buffet every day and eat as much as you want, what you want, and at the end of 3 weeks, you're gonna lose weight. Especially if you're fat. I don't know if you're fat, but let's just say you got to eat whatever you want. You got everything you wanted and you lost weight. And you'd say, wow, that kind of felt like cheating. Actually, it was cheating because I took in all these calories, I ate whatever I wanted, and I lost weight. That's what it's like to grab a handgun or a rifle or something that helps you shoot better. You get all the benefits of what that offers with more value. And it's nice. And it makes you feel better than you actually have the skill to be. Fluffy's in the house. Fluffy, hope that back surgery went well, sir, and that you are healing up well. Always good to see you. Actually, Fluffy said he may fly the coop of Michigan as well. Not sure where that stands. Ace Jace, this is cool that you are doing this. More gun channels need to stream. It's funny you said that, Ace, because I stayed away from lives for many years. I had no problem being on somebody else's live. I was on Smash Time's live several times. And then I wanted to do my own, but the one thing I didn't want to do was have guests because a guest can make your live or it can ruin it, quite honestly. And so when lives came out, they became very popular. Then they became very boring, and some people would do 4 hour lives, and they would just talk to each other like they were sitting around at a table drinking beer, talking. And I don't know how long I would be interested in that. But then I thought if there's another way to connect with viewers, this would be a good way to do it. And so I did. Then Smash Time helped me. He helped me quite a bit to get all set up with StreamYard and everything else. So Smash, I appreciate that, brother. Space Daddy Cereal. Space Daddy, is that the same Space Daddy that followed this channel back 10, 12, 13 years ago? Space Daddy? I think so. I'm not sure. LLB Books. As I'm listening to your stream, what did it say there? It's moving. I'm cleaning a Baynard 1908. Just got used today. I swear I'm the first person to clean this firearm in decades. Okay, I can't say I know a lot about that, but it sounds super cool. If I had to guess, I'd say it's a bolt action rifle. And I'm very firm with my guess there. I think that's correct, but I'm not sure. Brew Daddy said, nope. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Space Daddy. Yeah, I remember you years ago. See, you guys, there's testimony right there. People say, oh, this guy, he doesn't remember me anymore. I remember you. I remember you. Definitely. Yes, Brew Daddy for sure. I definitely know you years ago. It's really funny too because, and I'm seeing it right now, even as I'm talking to Space Daddy and Brew Daddy, and Roman's in the house. Wow, he's awesome. Um, there are people that were following over 10 years ago. Those are two examples over 10 years ago, but I don't always see them on the videos at all. Sometimes I don't see them at all in the videos, but they show up in a live chat and I'm like, hang on here. I know you. And I do. And I don't know if they watch the videos or not. Maybe they skim through them every now and again if it shows up on their feed, but they show up in a live chat and they say, "Yeah, I've been following you for years and years and years." So perhaps they do watch video. I don't know because they don't leave comments. If they left comments, I'd know. But I'm pretty sure they watch some because they're good guys. They're good guys, and they're great supporters too. So you can't be a great supporter without supporting what you do, and I know those guys do. I comment here and there, but I definitely watch most of your videos. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. All right. I don't like to comment on the. Yeah, I hear you, and a lot of people are moving in that direction. Although the video I put out today, oh my gosh, the amount of I put a video out today. It was just I just want to let you guys know. Let me see. I'm just going to take a look at the amount of comments. Let's see if I can get to this. I put it up a couple hours ago. Maybe I can't. There are so many comments on that, and I love it. And I will tell you, I will read every single one, but I don't think I'll be able to respond to every single one because it would take hours. Let's see. Buzz said, you have said some solid knowledge to share with us. Oh, man, thanks. And we appreciate all of your work and everything you do to the community. Thank you. Well, I appreciate that. And Buzz, I appreciate you. You specifically, we've gained a connection. We have a ton of respect for each other. And I feel that way with many other people. And I appreciate it. And you guys are the ones that keep me going with this because I tell you what, it'd be easy just to walk away. And there have been a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people, some with incredible dynamic channels too back in the day, back when, well, YouTube started in like, when was it? Like, was it 96 or was it 06? Oh, one of those. Maybe it was 06. I think it was 06. And there were some great gun channel. And there were a lot of turds too. I remember that's how I started to begin with. My wife said, if you can do better, then do it. I'm sick of you listening to you complain about it. And so I said, okay, fine, I will. And so that's why I started. But so many people, they just had the whole thing going on, and they just left. They just left. They burnt out, and I could see why. Because you have your regular life going, you have your regular career going, you have all this stuff, and this has to be not even secondly, but thirdly or fourthly. And if it becomes fifth or sixth in your scale of priorities, then you're not gonna be doing this much longer because it takes a lot of time, effort, and money. And so I really appreciate those who have been with me all this time, because through the good times and bad, through the ammo shortages, through personal financial challenges on my end, through a lot of bad videos, a lot of wrong things said, a lot of, well, a lot of good meaning efforts that fell flat. After 14 years, still doing this crap. And it's a lot of fun still. Still a lot of fun. And for so many years, we've been saying YouTube's going to get rid of gun channels. We've been hearing that for years and years and years. They're going to get rid of gun channels. I remember it had to be 6 or 7 years ago. You realize your time here is short. That I heard you realize they will be getting rid of you. This was 6 or 7 years ago. Still happening to this day. Yes, they've come up with some, but some of those are across the board. Some of those things are across the board. Yes, they are more likely to demonetize content. Yes, they're more likely to look at a gun channel more strictly. Yes, they do. They do that. It's a fact. But we are still here. And that was something that was very skeptical. And all these liberals would be dancing on our graves if they scrapped us. That's a fact. But they haven't scrapped us. We're still here. And they say, well, they wouldn't do that because they make a lot of money. Okay. Well, then why did they get rid of James Yeager at the peak of his YouTube career? They did. They got rid of Yeager at the peak of his YouTube career. Other people they got rid of at the peak. Like, these were shining stars, not just in the gun world, but on YouTube, where YouTube's making a ton of money. They said, you know what? You're gone. Get out of here. I don't know what they did behind the scenes. I don't know what they did to deserve that. Drop it like it's Scott is in the house. Hey, Scott does very, very detailed, very well, I don't want to say scripted, well delivered videos. Drop it like it's Scott. So one way you can remember that is like, drop it like it's hot. Oh, drop it. Oh, like it's hot. Well, drop it like it's Scott. I met Scott on a couple occasions. Great guy. Great guy. Oh, let me catch up with some of these. James Yeager is now rest in peace. Yes. And I ran into Yeager on several occasions. We never talked. We had plenty of opportunities to. I just didn't feel like I had anything to say to him, because he always had like a group of people around him, like kind of like groupies. They probably weren't. They're probably just friends and everything. But to me, it looked like groupies. And when I go to these shows, I'm like a one man show. Okay, I have myself and a tripod. I do all my own stuff. I get some help. I get support, I should say. I get support from my friends and family. But when it comes down to the videos, I'm just a one man show. And there are, well, Yeager was huge. He was huge in his day. I've always respected him. I'll tell you what, I know a lot of people that did know him and talked to him. They said, tell you, he is so different than his on screen persona. They said he is so different. He's laid back, he's chill, he's easy to talk to, he's polite, he's all of that, which is what you want in a friend. Which is what you want in a friend. They said he's just a super guy. But then you see him on screen and you may say, I don't like this guy. He comes across as arrogant and rude and kind of like an idiot. And I guess when I ran into him on those occasions, that part stuck with me. And you'd think I would know better, because I'm like doing the same thing. Not at the level he was, though. That part I guarantee. He was doing it at a far higher level. And he had a team of people. But yeah, I was very sad when he passed. And I saw him when he announced that he had that disease, and he said he did not want prayer. He said, if you see me, do not offer prayer. And I'm glad I watched that video, because I tell you what, I would have offered prayer. I would have offered prayer, and he probably wouldn't have accepted it. And I don't know. Enough about that. I do miss him though. Shooting gallery in the house. Good to see you, sir. Actually, I was supposed to show up on your live. I believe we had talked about. I'm not sure where that ended up, but give me a holler if you still want to do that. We have Paul Stoyak in the house. Let's see. James shooting the 1 million subscriber award will go down in history. Rest in peace, James. Yeah, he had a lot going on. He did have a big following, and like I said, people who knew him outside of YouTube, outside of the video camera, said he was actually pretty humble, and that would have been cool. Oh, 04 Hemi, this is interesting. Thoughts on trading a P365 for an ADX Cheetah? Well, the ADX Cheetah has way more street value than P365. Way more. Now, if yours has an optic on it, that kind of levels it out a little bit, but you're looking at a polymer frame, aluminum frame. Right there, you're looking at a price difference. If I could get the ADX Cheetah for a P3, I have a P365 right now. If somebody offered me an ADX Cheetah, I'd take it. Equal value. No additional, no cash, nothing. I would take it because I could always get a P365. You know how many models of that there are now? A ton of them. So yeah, I would take it. And then if I missed a P365, I'll just go get it. But you look at the MSRP for the all black ADX Cheetah, you're still looking at, after tax and everything else, $800. You're looking at 5.25 for a P365 basic model. Depending, I don't know what yours has. Okay, your honest reviews and great videos. Hey, thanks, man. A2A is absolute. Tim, that's a guy many, many, many years ago who made videos. I was just talking, Tim. I was just talking about people that I came up with who made videos and had good channels. You had a couple videos way back then that did real well, extremely well. And I looked at you as one of the top dogs in this YouTube community of firearm producers. Trading. Yes, that's worth more. Romans agrees with me. How do you feel about the Taurus 692? Yeah, the Tracker 692. You know, it's really interesting. I think it's great. I really do. And you know, talking about ports, we were talking about ports earlier. It has the 4 ports on each side. It has the interchangeable 9mm cylinder. That's good for practice. And if you want to shoot your revolver without that expensive 38 or 357, you could do that by changing out the cylinder. So easy. You push a button, it just comes right off. You put it back on, you push the button, it snaps into place. It's great. I would go with the 3-inch model over the 6-inch model, just because I don't know. I think it's a little more. Put it this way: if I wanted to shoot 9mm and I wanted to practice, I think that would be a great revolver to practice on to hone in my double action skills while shooting 9mm. Because you think about it, the recoil with 9mm is very similar to 38 special. It's pretty mild. And then you put the 357 on, but it's like anything else. You know, that's why they have basketball players use a super large basketball and say, if you could start making it with that, we'll give you this game size ball, and then you'll be hitting everything. Well, the same thing applies. If you can shoot that 9mm or the 38 special, if you can start ting 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 ting, and then you get the 357 Magnum, Yeah, you'll have to take another fraction of a second to get back on target, but it's just that those mechanics are just coming together, and then all of a sudden those mechanics will come together, and you'll become a much better shooter. 1209 Gunny says hi. Oh, he's the one that asked about the Taurus 692. Yes, stick with Glock 42 for 380. That's very small. We were talking about the ADX Cheetah. That Glock 42 is very, very small. So if you're talking pocket carry, CLH 5370, if you're talking pocket carry, okay. But if we're talking about more than that, something that you want to hit your target with at the range, I think you'd be far better off with the ADX Cheetah. Dan the Wolfman says his 692 tracker has been going strong for 5 years. Well, there's the testimony right there. Thanks, Dan. Good to see you. Yeah, man, that's a good revolver. That is one good revolver. I think it's great. Well, we got 78 people in the chat. We're on hour 26 so far. Let's see if we can get a couple more things to talk about, and then oh, by the way, I said this a chat or two ago. The I'm getting a lot of comments over at Fin Feather for Outfitters saying, "Is this your new channel?" It's not my new channel. I am working with Fin Feather for Outfitters to build their channel. Their channel was stale for, well, it was basically shut down for over 2 years. And I met those guys at SHOT Show last year through a mutual contact, and they said, "Hey, we want to build up our social media." And so we were in contact and we came to terms, and now I'm helping them build their social media. And in doing so, that gives me access to many other firearms for my channel as well as theirs. Because what we set out to accomplish on the Fin Feather Fur Outfitter channel is materializing in a phenomenal way. We have grown very steady and increased at a level greater than expected. Many of those are people that are on this chat right now. They came aboard over there, and they support the channel and what I'm doing over there. And so I'm able to, like I've often said, hey, I have to review guns either I could borrow or I own or whatever, because I don't work at a gun store. I still don't work at a gun store, but I do have access to some of their firearms. And so the review I did today, that's one of their guns. So people said, "Hang on, you're ripping on that gun, like you ripping on that gun like you hate it, and yet you own it." Well, I don't own it. Fin Feather Fur owns it. I took it to do a review for that channel, and just made its way over to TFG with the one that I did earlier. So that's that. So if you're at all interested, check out Fin Feather for Outfitters. You'll hear a familiar voice on there. Been hearing a lot about new YouTube rules on guns. Have you heard anything about it? If so, can you tell us about it? Good question. There are always new things happening, and it's not always with gun tubers. Gun tubers like to say, "Well, they're on our case again." In many ways, they're not wrong because we're looked at in a deeper microscope because they view what we do as dangerous. If you and I were street racers and we went booking down the road and everything, that's more dangerous than shooting at a range. But because liberals are out for, and many politicians are out against guns, we're looked at a deeper level. So have the rules changed? Yes. They've always changed. I've been at this longer than most of the people you watch. And I will tell you, they have always changed. some of the guys that get dinged, now hear me on this, some of the guys that get dinged intentionally, sometimes even to go out of their way to violate the terms of service. There may be something to gain from it if you can get away with it. There have been some very, very popular YouTube channels where I would look and I would see certain things and I would say that's not good. That is not good. I'm not going to say any names. Some very popular ones, I will tell you. And I noticed a few things and I was thinking that they should not be doing that. If they that gets in front of the wrong eyes, they're gonna and not even 4 days later, they're in front of their audience going, I got demonetized. I don't even know what I did. They're just so unfair. I don't know why. And I'm like, you knew and you know, but you don't know that I know. And I'm going to keep my mouth shut because I want to be supportive, but you screwed up and you got called out on it. That's like going 90 miles an hour down a highway. If you get a ticket and you get thrown in jail or whatever, it's not fair to go say, I don't even know what I did wrong because, I didn't even do anything. Everybody speeds a little bit. No, you were going 90 miles an hour. Okay. That's not speeding. That's called reckless. So you're guilty. Same thing applies. And I've seen these guys and they go crying, then they open up their Patreon and say, please support me because YouTube won't support me. Well, I mean, you knew you were wrong. Anyhow. Oh, Michael from Buffalo, New York. Whew, how do you live there? I couldn't take Michigan. I moved out of Michigan. You know where I'm living now? Suburb of that right there. Suburb of Toledo. A little more south of Toledo. Next county south. So, Tim, I used to be with you in Michigan. The last 4 months or so, moved down to Ohio. No regrets. Zero. Much more free. Much more free. But I love Michigan. I do. All right. So what else going on? Anybody have anything for me? What do you spring M16 A2 clone? I think it's pretty cool, Ace. Not necessarily for me. I had that A2 clone many, many years ago. Basically, it was a Colt 6920. And the first thing I did was modernize it up. Now, back then, to modernize it up, it was all Magpul stuff. So if you put the Magpul handguard on there, you put a Magpul stock on there, a grip. Most of the time, you kept the trigger because that wasn't a big deal. You may have put an extension on the or an elongated charger or whatever, and I modernized it up. So I took off that carry handle that served as a rear sight, got rid of that, put optics on there. So everything that was A2 that was so cool about it, I changed it out. And so if I got that Springfield A2 clone, I probably wouldn't because to finish the story, I changed everything out because I wanted a Colt M16, but I wanted a modern one. And then what happened as time went on and theirs became more popular, you see companies like Radical and Diamondback, they're making them with all those modern features on there for like less than a Colt 6920 was by a lot. And so I'm thinking, how smart am I? I paid a premium for a Colt 6920, took off all the parts, had to pay for all those parts and assemble all those on there. Now I've got $1,500 into a rifle just because it has Colt stamped on it. Meanwhile, I could have gotten a Diamondback for $800 that had all that stuff plus some, or Radical Firearms for $650, half the cost of what I had into my Colt. So lessons learned. But I don't know if that answers the question. But I think it's cool. I think I'm a little bit more into the modern stuff. That's like saying, do I want to go buy a mil spec 1911? Well, I'm a 1911 fan. I have a ton of 1911s. That's some really nice 1911s, some of which you guys have not seen before, that nobody has seen before. Maybe I'll make a video. I don't know, but I'm a big 1911 fan. Am I going to go out and get a mil spec 1911 with wood grips and an arched mainspring housing and a spurred hammer and the bare basics? Probably not. Probably not. I don't want to say for sure, but probably not. Mr. Freightliner says, let me get my glasses here. I have a Taurus Raging Hunter 44 8 3/8 barrel. Nice, nice. With all the ports, I get the dirty, hairy feel of Rick Grimes from feel like Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead. That's cool. Taurus, 10 years ago, a lot of people hated Taurus, and that's a company that proved that you can turn things around. You have to come out with one or two models that people just love and they trust, and that helps everything. Sheva says, show your nice 1911s. I have one specifically in there, and I say in there, I'm looking at 242 gun safes straight ahead of me. That's another thing. When I moved to Ohio, I have this space here that is studio and gun room. And in 2 days from 3 days from now, I bought another safe that's going to go right over here to my right. And like I've got all these safes down here, and it's a nice setup. It's really, really nice. I never had anywhere near this nice of a setup at the house I lived in Michigan. But what I was going to say is I have I think like a $3,400 1911 in the safe that I'm looking at and that I've never shown. But by looking at the 1911, just by looking, the aesthetics of it, you would say it's no big deal. You would say, why would anybody pay that amount of money for that 1911? Makes no sense. Okay, that's fair. But when you shoot it, I mean it's like one of those guns that kind of just shoots itself. Like you say, I didn't feel like I was going to hit the target there, but yet I hit it. And then when I transitioned over to this target, I didn't feel like I was on all the way. I felt like I may have jumped the trigger, the things that happen, and all of a sudden I hit it. And I moved over to this target and I fired before I felt like I should have, and yet I hit the target. And then I did it again, then I did it again, then I did it again. And then you take it out the next time and you take that same gun and you go ting, 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 ting. I don't think I should have done that well. I probably should have missed a couple of those. Ting, 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 ting. That's the type of gun that shoots itself. Yes, you are doing all the mechanics you have been doing for years and years and years, but the gun performs that well that for some reason or another, the 1911 gods may be overseeing it, but you're hitting your targets. That's what that 1911 is like. And so even though it looks similar, it's not similar. Well, I gotta be careful there because most 1911s are just so fine shooters, but this one's just a little bit better. All right, what do you think about Kamala Harris? Oh no, man, Kamala saying they're going to go into people's houses and make sure they're practicing guns. Could you imagine if 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 you let's say everybody in this chat they all got fired and we're all looking for jobs. and the economy's bad, and very few people are hiring. But Homeland Security is hiring, and Homeland Security says, Ace Jace and Jessica Sims and Michael and Chuck and 1209, you guys have what it takes to join Homeland Security. And what we're going to do is figure out which of these homes and these communities are gun owners, and we're going to knock on the door and demand entrance to make sure that they're safely storing their firearms. And if by chance they're not, and you see one that's out there, you jump on them and you detain them. And if their buddies want to get involved, then you best grab your taser or something, because this is what you have to do. Would you do it? Kind of crazy thought. How many people would they have to hire to do that with Americans? First off, we don't know who has what. We have no clue who has what. Some of the quietest, most dorkiest people, they may have a Kamala sign. We're not going back. We're not going back. It's kind of a weird saying, considering if we go back a little bit further, things are much better. But anyways, they could be gun owners. Seems hard to believe, but it could be. AR-15 in the house. He says, "Hey, how are you? I'm doing great." Kind of toward the tail end of this chat. Certainly enjoying it. Hypo Drake, 1921 produced, Colt nickel plated. Woo! You got a good one there, Hypo. Wow. Chuck had good experiences with Tisas 1911s. Chuck, earlier in the chat, we were talking about people who say, I only want American-made firearms, but they want American-made firearms, and I also said I understand everybody wants to get the best deals possible, but they want American-made firearms with Turkish prices. Therein lies the difference. Tisas, Turkish. MAC, Military Armament Corp, Turkish. Put out some great stuff. SDS Imports out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Put out some great stuff, but they are Turkish. And they are approximately 30% less than the American counterparts. Many are copies. And so, although many people may say they want a American-made gun, that comes at a cost. You look at the American tax system, it's not what it once was. Very much burdensome. You look at American labor, that too. American overhead, energy, it costs money. Tisas, Danik, SAR, who else? Many. They are putting out some good firearms for less money. I don't know. I have a bunch of both, but if I was in a position where, thankfully I've had a good career and own my business and everything else. Rock Island, Philippines. Yeah, you're right, Chuck. Rock Island, they've got 14-year-old kids making 1911s. Not across the board, but some. Okay. If stuff went weird, what is the pistol you're putting on your hip? Oh, good question, Michael. Let me think about that. Probably, I would probably go if stuff went really weird, and I needed something to make that precise shot that is going to be the difference between life and death. I'm going with the Bull Armory EDC, which is the same as the TAC 4 1/4. It just has a couple different optic system and everything, but I'm going with the Bull Armory EDC. if I just have to make that shot. Good one, Chuck. Gearson, that's another one. Yep. Cowboy, I would agree with you 3 or 4 years ago, but I can't agree with you now. He says, "Look at how inexpensive Canics are compared to everything else." Canic used to be a $300 compact size handgun. You could get them in red, blue, gray, white. They were all over the Cerakotes way before it became trendy with all the different colors. They were $300. They had the single action only. They had about 3 models. Very, very cheap. Since then, they have come up with all these different models, and the price reflected that. I'll tell you, you want to know the biggest flop? I think this is true. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is true, though. I think the biggest flop gun in 2024 is the Canic TTI Combat. I think that is the biggest flop gun in 2024. I'd like to know your thoughts. Have you come across anybody who likes that gun, who feels that it was a good purchase at a grand, $1,100, just to have Terran Tactical's name stamped on there? I, I'm not impressed. I'm just not impressed. But what I am impressed with is that Canic steel frame. I'd like to have that. But I'm not gonna pay a grand. I'll pay a grand for some things. That's not one of them. Okay, when deceptions come, not deceptions, some word I don't know how to pronounce. I'm grabbing a SIG 226 Legion. Oh, that's good. He's dying in style. That's a good choice. You're not far off at all from my Bull Armory EDC. Mine has 18 round mags. Pepe des Nuts. Hello. How are you? We still have 74 people in the chat. I tell you what, I'm going to run this for 2 hours. This will be the longest chat I've ever had, which will basically be 13 more minutes. Okay. Wow. I love this feedback and interaction, and I'm seeing people that are so supportive, and I see them and I feel like I know them. And if I saw them out and they said, "Hey, I'm Ram 218313," I'd like feel like I know them. We could sit down and have a beer, and it would be so cool. But we're all over the US. I agree. I have both the steel and the TTI Combat, and the steel frame is much better in all aspects. Oh, thanks for confirming my thoughts on that. Ram, I'm curious to know if you if you would buy that TTI Combat again. Jacob, firearm guy, how are you tonight, sir, on this Sunday night? Good, good. I take it you're just coming in, Jacob. I said we got about 12 minutes. This is the longest chat I ever did, and we're approaching the two hour mark. What is your favorite handgun currently? Wow, that's a tough one. I would say my favorite polymer frame is the Springfield Echelon. A close, probably close to equivalent is the Bull Armory Axe Hatchet. I really, really like the Kimber Carbon Compact, but that's not a polymer frame. That's a carbon fiber infused frame, so a little bit different. So when I kind of went off on the poly frame deal, but man, if I went through all of them, I'd see some fine handguns. One manufacturer that used to get spoken about all the time, you don't hear about them much anymore, and you really should. Imported by Italian Firearms Group, and that is Tanfoglio. You don't hear much about Tanfoglio anymore, but they make some great guns. I mean, top shelf. John Bibber, what did John say? You are one of the best out there. Oh, wow, man. Thanks, John. I'm actually glad I read that comment. Good to see you, buddy. I appreciate that. Oh, okay. I discovered the Walther P99. Yeah, Walther, what they did was they discontinued it and they brought it back for a short while, and the short while was extended. And so they discontinued it. See, I like that P99 style. Smith and Wesson did it where it's a double action, single action striker fire. So Smith and Wesson did it. Then Walther did it with the P99. Then Magnum Research did it in a collaboration with Walther, and then Canic did it. And none of them really took off. And I'm shocked by that because it's such a nice trigger system. The single action striker fire has a decocker on there. You hit a button, decocks it back to double action, just like a hammer fired gun, but it's striker. And the P99 offered that. So I think Walther, they canceled it, and so many of their fans said, "Why did you cancel it? I never got a chance to get it. I want it." And I think that happened at a mass level. And then they said, "Okay, fine, we'll bring them back for a limited time." And then it seemed to me that nobody bought them. That's just me speculating, but I love that trigger action. That should be mainstream. It is really, really cool. Oh, what did Roman say? Oh, he's talking with Chuck. That's another thing. This sidebar's really going well. Things are going well. Oh, we still have 74 people in here. I thought we'd be tailing off by now. Scribble D. How you doing, Scribble D? How many years have you been on here? Well, I've been here since 2011, so probably one of the longest here. I talked earlier about that because there were so many people I came up with, and if I just started now, that's the one thing people don't understand. They may say something like, "Well, it must be nice. It must be nice to do what you're doing. You know, you get to work with all these guns, you get to do all this stuff." Okay, that's fair. Yeah, sometimes it's nice, sometimes it's not nice. Sometimes it is not nice, I will tell you. And I'm not talking about a rude comment here or there. I'm talking about a lot of time, money, and effort went into something that just fell flat and you got nothing out of it. But there's still room for everybody. There is still room. This is the internet, okay? It's not limited to me and a couple other dudes. Anybody can get involved. So I've been on since 2011. Let me just do this. I haven't been doing this. I feel like I've been watching your channel for at least 8 years. Oh, that's cool. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been at least 8 years, maybe a decade. I've been on there. Always down to earth to the point with your videos, my man. Oh, I appreciate that. That's really nice. Well, thanks for sticking around with me from a lot of bad videos. So that's cool. That's the one thing, one thing what Scribble D just said, and I hope I can keep this going because it seems to be unusual. People tell me you seem down to earth, and I like that. I want to be down to earth. If I ever get too big where I feel I'm better than you, then I know I need to exit this whole thing. If I ever feel superior, which I won't. I already know right now I won't. It's not my genetic makeup to do that. I'm a Christian. And it wouldn't be right to feel that that's the exact opposite of humility. And so that would being humble is part of Christianity. So when somebody feels they're better, They're always more qualified. They're always more approved. They're always more knowledgeable. They always have more experience when they don't. That's arrogance. And if you reach a point of arrogance, one by one, you're going to have fewer people that like you and want to hang out with you because you're always the know-it-all in the room. And you may think you're impressive. Nobody's impressed. Anyways, that was a little side rant. But thank you, Triple D. I appreciate that. And I love it when I hear people say that I'm down to earth because that's all I ever want to do is be a regular dude. You are right, Hypo Drake. Pride cometh before the fall. Pride is something that God hates. He hates pride. And pride cometh before any sin. There's always pride. And it starts with a distraction, and then a deception, and then a defeat. And at that point, you're done in, and you allowed that to happen. Key Largo Joe. Joe, you are such a blessing to the channel. You're on every time. You share your knowledge, information, you share your support, all that. A lot of you guys are. A lot of you guys are. Really, really cool. Well, we've got about 4 minutes, people. This has been my honor to be on here. I hope it didn't freeze too much. My last one I did, it froze up a couple times, and I really didn't notice as much until I watched a little bit afterward. I was like, wow, I'm like freezing up all the time. And then I kept watching because like I really don't like to watch myself. Like I see myself enough, like I brush my teeth and I'm looking at myself in the mirror. I get sick of looking at myself, okay? Even right now, like I'm looking at myself, right? So I try not to watch myself too much, but if I see something wrong or something that isn't performing right, or something like if I just look tired, I'll watch myself and kind of study to do better the next time, to continually evolve in this. Lou Flores is in the house. Hello, Lou. Lou, we're about ready to wrap this up, but it's certainly good to have you, even for a short period. Big Shug, Big Shug, don't forget what I told you. Yes, I have been well. Hope you've been well. You and I talked about something. Stay tuned, brother. Stay tuned. Trust me on that. Okay, that's between me and you, Big Shug. Stay tuned. Nobody here knows what we're talking about. You just watch. Let's see. Randy said security 380 better to shoot, bodyguard 380 better to carry. Yeah, I may have to go with that. I may have to go with that. Just got the YouTube notification about the live. Well, we're actually going on 2 hours. Yeah, I'm getting kind of tired. I actually, for those that don't know, I'm a retired school teacher. That's why I waited till we moved to Ohio until I retired, and then I just picked up a job. I just picked up a little part-time job, and it's not fin feather for outfitters. It's different. I really wanted something that would help society, and so let's see. I'll just say it. I picked up a little part-time job where I'm going to assist adults with needs, adults with needs, and take them out into, and I'm still in the training phases, but take them out into society and do societal things. And I've only been at it a couple days. I am doing it tomorrow, and I'm not making much at all, like very little, and I'm okay with that because I want to do something for the world. All right. And so that was an opportunity. And so I'm doing it. I'm doing it tomorrow. I taught phys ed, Romans. I was a phys ed teacher, and I I I loved every minute of it. But the district started going woke, started going really woke, and I was really getting sick of it Hey, my buddy Jim Sig is in the house. I tell you what. Hey, Jim, we're wrapping this up right now. I want to tell you something. I miss you. I really miss you, Jim. I was thinking about you the other day. I don't know if you know, but I moved out of Michigan. I'm just south of Toledo in Ohio. But I was going to reach out to you, and I don't know what happened. I was just talking about this little part-time job I picked up, but I do want to connect with you. Jim Sig is a personal friend of mine as well as a YouTube friend, but we got to know each other, and man, can this guy shoot? And I have so much respect for him, not just as a shooter because that's secondary, but as a person, he's just a phenomenal person. But anyways, guys, I want to close this out. It's been 2 hours, which is my longest chat by far. I think prior to this, it was about an hour and 20 minutes or so. So it went a little long. Got a little dry throat here. This is what you get when it's a one-man show, but I enjoyed it very much. Tuesday is the election. A lot riding on it, and I mean, I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know. If you're anything like we are, we're being inundated with ads going every which way. This is a big one. This is a big one. And I, I'm trying this whole process. I tried to distance myself with it because I had a way of allowing myself to get too emotionally involved. And now that we're only days away, it's either going to be real celebratory or real painful. And I've been on both sides of that. I've lived on this earth a long time, and I already voted. Feel very confident with both local and at the federal level. But I would just say that there are many gun owners who are registered who do not vote. Do not let that be you. Jessica Simps says, make Kamala lose. The mere thought of that lady running this country scares the daylights out of me. I have never seen anybody so unqualified. Somebody who was anointed into every position, including VP. She was anointed in. She never had to do any heavy lifting. She never had to make any specific accomplishment to get there. She was anointed in. I've never seen somebody a ticket more liberal and more unqualified for a time such as this. And to top it off, this is a little bit of a rant, but to say that magically the one that was in a position to make things better made it worse, and now all of a sudden has all the tools necessary to make it better when you're the one that made it worse. And there are people out there who say, yeah, that's what we need. We need her. How in the world can anybody think that way? I already voted for Trump. I already voted for local politicians that have an R next to their name. To think that a liberal who tells you in a campaign that, oh, no, we're not, we respect the Second Amendment. I would never do this. Let me tell you something. They get in there and they change everything. There's no loyalty there. They don't care. They don't care at all. And when I hear people say that it's not a Republican Democrat thing, I disagree wholeheartedly. When we talk about guns, it is a Democrat and it is a Republican issue because it's always the Democrat. Yes, the Republicans will stab you in the back, and it hurts when they do, big time. but the Democrats will cut your head off. And they'll laugh and have a drink and dance on your grave. So, yes, I voted for Trump. Actually, every time Trump's name has been in front of me, I voted for Trump. And so I'm just going to hope and pray that he gets back in there and leads this country back to where we need to be, because we're not there right now. And I have very, very little hope that, not even hope, I have zero confidence that Kamala has anything that it would take. It would get much worse. Woo! All right. And Vance, too. Very much impressed with Vance. And for those who don't know, Vivek Ramaswamy is an Ohioan. And if Vance has to give up his Senate seat because he's vice president, Vivek wants that Senate seat in Ohio. And in that case, the governor appoints the Senate. Well, the Senate seat. And I'm pretty sure he would say, it's yours, Vivek. And that would be great too. So, anyways, fellas, I enjoyed this. I enjoy you guys. So great to see so many people that I see on videos and so forth. So great to see so many friends, people I used to know, some people I only see here, some people I know in person, some people all across the board. Really enjoyed this. Went over 2 hours, by far my longest chat, but it was worth every minute of it. I got to spend it with you guys. And I want to say something. You guys who support me, I hope that you feel I support you. I cannot show it as much as I want to, but I want to do it here now, and I want to do it live. You people are the ones that keep me going. This can be a tough place to be on my end of things. There's a lot of good too. There's a lot of good, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that sometimes just fall flat. And it would be easy to walk away, but I could walk away from the time, expense, and energy, but I'd have trouble walking away from the people. That's where you guys come in. You guys keep me going with all this, and I want you to know I appreciate it. You're amazing. I have other people who make videos who tell me, they said, the people that follow your channel are loyal. And I say, I know. And they say, people say, what did you do to get that? And I said, I don't know, but they really are something. So I say, I don't have the biggest audience, but I do have the best. I stand by that 100%. And you guys are the ones that make that happen. Once again, take care. I'll see you next video or next live chat. And you keep doing what you're doing. We're all going to vote if we haven't already. And we're going to keep our heads up and keep moving forward. All right. God bless you. Take care of yourselves and your family. You guys are a joy to me, and I'm sure you're a joy to everybody you are around. Have a great night. We'll see you next time.